My thoughts on Obi and Elliott's fight on Dana White Contender Series. I loved it. And first off, I'm a massive supporter. And we've been working hand in hand, right? Obi and I have been working hand in hand for a long time. So I felt there was a sense of pride. There was a sense of excitement. But this was also a very nerve-wracking situation. And the fact that it went to a decision, you never know how those are going to go. And there's so much thought in this sport put on the finish. Some of the greatest fights ever, the ones that win fight of the night, the ones that win fight of the year, very seldomly are a finish. That is a massively false narrative in our sport, that the best fights are the ones that get finished. It's just not true. Now, you want to keep that narrative going because the best fights are where both guys are trying to finish. Just the other guy is so doggone tough he can't get there, and then you get more minutes of it. Look, I thought that Obi did an excellent job, and I think that he belongs in the UFC. Who are the best 3 fighters on the microphone right now? Well, for sure, Sugar Sean. For sure, Israel Adesanya. And I, of course, would not dismiss Conor McGregor. I wouldn't dismiss the great. I'm trying to answer your question. You said fighter. And fighter gets to be a little bit tough. Like, would I qualify? No. Why? For one reason. I'm not a licensed fighter. That's it. That's what you're a fighter or you're not, right? It's kind of like 24-hour fitness. Are you a member or aren't you? It's not that you know where it is or you like the concept that you can work out anytime. Do you have a membership card to get through the front door or don't you? Right? It's a very binary question. I only bring that to you because to my understanding, Conor is not a licensed fighter. So I just got to remove him from that list, but I think that we would have more fun. You want to know the best interview that I've heard in a very long time, but it was Nate Diaz building up for the Jake Paul fight. In fact, it was the great line that I've heard in years when Nate Diaz said, "We are participating in a boxing event. We aren't actually fighting because you can't actually fight." Nate Diaz is a genius. What do I think of Ian Gary being a bully when he was fighting Neil Magny? And then I think that you referenced him flipping him off and talking some smack during the fight. You know, I don't know what to make of it in terms of there's only 2 categories, right? Are you the good guy or the bad guy? Are you the heel or the face? Are the fans cheering you or booing you? I think that's what you're asking. And I will tell you, it was very much counterculture. Like Ian Gary had these people eating out of his hand. He was doing things that a bad guy does. There's only so many things that you can do in the middle of a martial arts performance to let the people know if you're there to be cheered or you're there to be booed. And everything that Ian Gary did, aside from being young and talented and handsome, is what the bad guy does. But they weren't booing, were they? They were cheering for him. So I do think it was a matter that Ian Gary knew his audience. I think that he got a reaction from the crowd. I don't know that he was trying to intimidate or downplay or, as you said, bully Neil Magny. I know it looked like that, but I don't think that's what it was. I think he was playing to the crowd. I think he heard their reaction. I think he had his thumb on the pulse. I think he was trying to entertain. Who would I like to see Bo Nickel fight next? I think, moreover, it's who I don't want to see Bo fight. I don't want to see Bo fight a new guy. I don't want to see Bo fight a guy that sets records for the discrepancy within payout. I mean, Bo was the biggest favorite in UFC history the last time that he fought. And to bring in a guy that's got 3 NCAA titles, a youth age group world title, and an undefeated record, and to put him in a situation like that, I mean, it's wrong for both guys. Bring in a real opponent. He's good enough to be here or he's not. Is Dillon Danis going too far? Listen, there's never a time in life when you will go far enough if you're not willing to go too far. Every regret that anybody has is for some bit of juice they think was left to squeeze and they didn't do it. They didn't go seize the moment. So, do I think he's going too far? Certainly, perhaps. That is most definitely a hindsight issue. Did it work? Did it not? A lot of things are an experiment. Perhaps. But I believe the tone in which you asked the question is that if I give an affirmative to the question, you think that therefore is a negative, and it's not. Going too far? I mean, come on, it's like you tried too hard. It's like having too much money or a girl too pretty, having a car too fast, or having too much fun. Like go far, go real far. And if you didn't go too far, then you didn't go far enough. My favorite pizza place, I'm just going to say New York. And I know that's a broad stroke, but if you've had one, you've had them all for the most part. Now, there is specifically a place, something in Basil. What's it called? It's called Artichoke and Basil. Now, I'm not crazy about bagel, and artichokes are disgusting, but the place is called Artichoke and Basil. Quite frankly, I don't know any pizza they put an artichoke on. I have no idea why they even named it this place, but they have something there called a vodka pizza. And it's a square. Not crazy about the squares. They call it a Sicilian slice. I'm not crazy about that, but I'm also not prejudiced against it. Like, I will try it before I prejudge. And they serve it in a square, which means you're going to have a little bit more crust. Now, the crust is the worst part of a pizza. And you'll meet some jerks who go, oh, the crust was so good. You ever meet a guy that says, oh, yeah, thank you very much, and don't ever listen to anything that he says. It's almost like a burger guy. Oh, you got to go down here for a burger, man. They make it this thick. The worst part of the burger is the actual burger. So sometimes you just get a fat guy that's a value shopper, and he's going to tell you how great the crust was. There's no such thing, okay? Tolerate the crust so you can get to the good stuff that's on top of the crust. Artichoke and Basil out of New York City makes a slice called the vodka pizza. That is the best pizza I've ever had. Do I think I am more popular post-career? A lot of questions were thrown my way at the UFC 292 press conference, and they seem to be posed with a lot of love and credit shown to my YouTube channel. Well, that was a very nice thing for you to ask me. I mean, really, you threw like a bunch of compliments within that question. That was very sweet. Thank you. You've boosted me up a little bit there. And I'm more popular now. Wow. I mean, the power of TV is a very real thing. And that's a line that I stole from Forrest Griffin. So if you follow the sport for a long time and think I'm getting away with one, okay, fine. I'll credit to Forrest. But Forrest is right. There is something about that. And I know YouTube isn't TV, but I feel like you get that theme. You know, my son is watching visual stimulation all the time, but he never watches TV. There's never a time, like when I was a kid, I'd ask my dad, hey, can we watch such and such tonight? Or I've got to go to bed early. Can you record the A-Team for me? Like, this was a real thing. And my son's never made those requests. There's nothing with on television that he watches, but he watches YouTube. He watches Mr. Beast and things like this. So you guys have been a very good audience, and I try to be out there. I try to do my part of it. I feel as though we've got a deal. I'm going to entertain. I'm going to bring you things on a very consistent basis, and you're going to watch it, and often you're going to comment. I mean, that seems to be the exchange, and as far as being popular, I will agree with you that it, you know, there is an exposure there. And you know, the hierarchy of popularity in MMA, it does not go Dana White, Conor McGregor, as most people think. It goes Dana White, Joe Rogan. And then we can start to have a conversation about who comes underneath that. So as much as I like the punches and kicks, I think to your point, you don't always have to be punching and kicking. And I appreciate you paying attention.